Hey, what's going on? Let's go. Happy Faded Friday. If you were in the first video where we just went live for like a half a second, my apologies. Didn't have everything set up like I did. Hopefully, you didn't catch that. You didn't even know what happened. We're so quick. Hopefully, the computer sticks with us tonight. It was not fun the other night when I couldn't even see you guys, or that was being crazy. But super appreciate everybody swinging out, spend a little time on their Faded Friday with us. Happy Faded Friday. Hopefully, you're responsibly enjoying cannabis up north in the woods, or spending some time with the family. Let us know you got some big plans in the comments there. I'll be up north. If you're up north, let me know. Maybe we can link up. Probably going to be checking out that Menominee location tomorrow of Higher Love. Speaking of Higher Love, shout out to them for being our partner with the show. Appreciate everything they do to keep this thing rolling. And man, when I make my trips up there, which is pretty often, that's where I'm stopping. Love the flower, love the deli style flower. Just love everything they got there. Max got the CBD. Been rocking the drinks lately, all that stuff. So much love to them. Also, if you're in Wisconsin, looking for that hemp, make sure you check out Ignite Dispensary. Got a couple different locations across the state. My go-to is over in Manitowoc, where we got the Canna Lounge now. But also down in Milwaukee, up at Spooner, and spread across the state. So Jill is here already. Hey, Jill, happy Friday. Thanks for stopping out. Philip Scott's in the house. Be responsible. One love. Let's go, buddy. Happy Friday, man. Hopefully your day is winding down. And kind of a hectic day for a lot of folks out there in the hemp industry, which are obviously our allies here in Wisconsin, as they bring us the safe cannabis access. Working around the hemp bill and everything, or the farm bill and everything that goes along with it. And there was some noise yesterday with the farm bill, which has been a cluster for I think it's been about a year now. Heath is in the house too. Thanks for stopping out, buddy. But we're going to be talking about it here in a minute, but some interesting stuff on the front for the farm bill we'll be touching base on and make sure we try to understand that as best as we can. Quick reminder, if you haven't seen the post yet on the page, been working closely with the folks over at HempFest. We're really excited about the March to the Capitol this year. If you can check out the posts on Let's Legalize Wisconsin's page, we're looking for ideas for signs and chants. We're still a few months out. We're looking September 29th is the day. That's a Sunday where we'll actually be doing the marching, but obviously we want to get things rolling for ideas and such ahead of time. So I'll be having a list of the speakers for that day coming out shortly. Really excited about the crew we got together for that. Much love to everybody who's helping be a part of that. It's going to be an awesome day. And we'll see if Baby Beans is going to be there or how that's all going to shake out. We'll figure it out as we always do. Again, that's our due date for our first child. So we'll figure it out. My wife's a rock star. And so is the team with HempFest, Philip Scott, all the folks, Dustin, all the folks that have been helping along the way. So we'll figure it out. We got plans. Joshy boy too. But yeah, let's get rolling. It was pretty cool. I got sent a link to check out the we had looked the other day when the rescheduling got put on the register. Got a chance to actually get a little information on what that looks like. So I wanted to kind of check this out, see if we can depict anything in the text that might be interesting. Let's see if we can get this to share correctly. Always fun when I'm at the helm. Thanks, Jill. Trying to stay professional. It was getting a little crazy there, so thought we'd get her trimmed up a little bit, a little more professional. So got to rock that. Appreciate it. I'm also able to run faster now. Watch out, folks. If you see Bobby Beans running, there's something going down. If you see me running, y'all better run because something's happening that requires immediate action. So breaking down, sharing this, we're going to go to present. How do we do this again? Share screen. I've done this like 100 times. You'd think I'd have this down by now. Share. There we go. You guys don't really need to read it. It's probably a bit tedious, especially with how small it is. But I always like you to know what the hell I'm doing. So as we scroll through this, we got Randy in the house. What's up, man? Thanks for stopping out, Randy. We're checking out some information on the rescheduling that got put on the registry again earlier this week. Posting of public comments. Again, we've touched on that a few times. Going to be looking into how we can do that, which again, they're looking for the economic benefits of cannabis or effects of legalization is what they're mainly having us or want to receive opinions on, that kind of stuff, data. Request for hearing, notice of appearance. So that's also my understanding that there is a chance that they will have a public hearing on this, although I doubt it just because it's just like with our state, it's kind of like it seems like they know it should be legal, but they don't want it to be legal for sure. And I'd be surprised if there's a able to have public comment, public hearing, but obviously that would be awesome. I feel like that should be a thing, but we'll see how things shake out. Again, I have no idea how politics actually work. I'm just some guy that looks at a lot of information and tries to give my input, if we can call it educated. Um, Whatever you want to call it. None of this is for sure. Let's always start things out with that. It basically goes, if the administrator determines to grant an in-person hearing to address such matters of facts, the administrator will designate an administrative law judge. Whoa, that sounds fancy. To preside over the hearing. Hey, I'll take that job. I can help y'all folks over there. I'm sure this would be in DC. Sign me up. Pay for my plane ticket out there. I'll be your guy. Alex is in the house. What's up, buddy? How's it going, man? Thanks for stopping out. I'll request for hearing and waivers of an opportunity of hearing. Okay. Nothing too crazy there. It's kind of what I was expecting. Juan's in the house again. What's up, buddy? Much love, much love. Hope you are ready for a relaxing Memorial Day weekend. Under the CSA, okay, this wasn't anything too new and interesting. Once the determination is made that a particular drug or substance must be controlled under the CSA, background. Okay, so this was just touching on the background. When Congress enacted the Controlled Substance Act in 1970, it placed marijuana in a Schedule 1. Just talking about how it's basically been that since, and what it's in there with, which again, the other Schedule 1 substances include, which cannabis should not be anywhere near, in my opinion. Heroin, excuse me, LSD, ecstasy, and yeah, that's what cannabis is currently next to when it comes to controlled substances in being a Schedule 1 drug. Alex, appreciate that, man. So we've got that again for those who don't know. Schedule 2, which it's nice that we'd be skipping right over that and at least go into 3. Again, I think it should be descheduled if we're being fair, but Schedule 2 would include cocaine, methamphetamine, methadone, oxycodone, and fentanyl. So they're just talking a little more about the background, essentially how we got here. But then it's talking about the DEA and the HHS last examined the issue. That was in 2016. It's talking about they've had multiple petitions. Their specific definition of marijuana is in here, which is the plant Cannabis sativa, whether growing or not, the seeds thereof, the resin extracted from any part of such plant, and every compound, manufacture, salt, derivative, mixture, or preparation of such plant, its seed or resin. For those who have anything to do with the hemp industry, we know this is an interesting topic when it comes to seeds, which technically don't have THC in them. It's all, there's so many words out there, and then it's messy. It's the best way to put it, folks. It's messy because again, they're trying to politicize and over basically they try to overtalk cannabis is the only way I can think of describing it when it comes to, again, when you're setting up how legalization should happen, or when you're trying to pass a new anything cannabis is just such a cluster. We talk about it all the time. As far as nothing is cut and dry. It's always, oh, we need more time to think about this. We don't know if this is safe, that's safe, whatever. Like it's just a big farce, in my opinion. They touched base how in October 6th of 2022, President Biden requested that the AG and the HHS look into things. Letter dated. Okay, here we go. The proposal to reschedule. So the CSA vests the Attorney General with the authority to schedule, reschedule, or decontrol drugs. The Attorney General has delegated that authority to the DEA administrator, but also retains the authority to schedule drugs under the CSA in the first instance. The HHS Assistant Secretary for Health has provided a recommendation for transferring cannabis to Schedule 3. In light of that recommendation, the Attorney General is exercising the Attorney General's authority under a statute to initiate a rulemaking that proposes a placement of cannabis on Schedule 3. DEA believes that additional information arising from the rulemaking will further inform the findings regarding the appropriate scheduling for marijuana. DEA has maintained an active review of the scientific literature addressing. Waldo, we're hitting up the Farm Bill next. Definitely, we're just going over a little more of the proposal for Schedule 3 now that we got our hands on it. The DEA believes that factual evidence, including scientific data and expert opinions, including additional data regarding different forms, formulations, and delivery methods for marijuana, as well as evidence regarding the effects of marijuana at various dosages or concentrations, may be relevant. Going into basically, there's an opinion that the DEA analyzed explaining its decision to deny the petitions to reschedule in 2016, and then the 2024 opinion are available to read. Boy, this is this boring. I can only imagine how boring that thing is, but it is out there if you're super interested. DOJ has reviewed the scientific and medical evaluation. At this point in the proceedings, DOJ must treat HHS scientific and medical determinations as binding. Okay, that's good to hear. I do believe. And then again, it's listed below. They go into their understanding from the HHS on marijuana's actual or relative potential for abuse. They break that down with a lot of jargon. HHS also concluded that the public health risks posed by marijuana are lower compared to those posed by other drugs of abuse. So actually, there's some good text in here that I'd like to break down and maybe share. I mean, like, this is a lot of text in here. Maybe I'll try to break this up. I think, just hearing the DEA, the HHS, anybody related to the government talking about cannabis not being terrible, having health benefits, not being as addictive as it's been portrayed, all that kind of stuff. There's stuff in here. Hopefully we've got some good things. I didn't realize it was this long. HHS conclusion within to factor 1, scientific evidence, neurochemistry, receptors. Wow. Yeah, there is a lot of stuff in here. Oh, now we're getting into CB receptors. Wow. I might have to. Oh, man, and we're just getting started. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to break this down. I must try to get a summary of this. I'm going to have some time this weekend to get some reading done. This might be something I look into, but I don't want to go through all this with you guys. I feel like this is a lot to go over. And a lot of it's probably stuff we've already touched on. Philip says, interesting, Beans, how do we work together and get our Wisconsin Fed reps to start speaking on what the people actually want to see in this next farm bill? That is a great point. Great question. I think it's going to take a little pressure from the folks in the industry, getting the voice united and putting that pressure on these folks. As we know, anything with government seems to be a slow-moving process, but especially when it comes to the farm bill and just the hemp in general, I think with what it means to Wisconsin, it's definitely something we got to get to the forefront with whatever it takes. So Waldo says, I sent an email to Glenn Grothman. He said he's unavailable from mid-June until after the August election. Yeah, Waldo, unfortunately, a couple of the folks that I've been reaching out to touch base with, I'm kind of getting that same vibe. So hopefully we can find a couple. I'm just going to keep hitting up as many as I can. There's got to be some folks that are willing to still talk to people, constituents, platforms. I would think if you're getting ready to run or that there's going to, you're up for re-election, I would want to be getting out in front of the people, not necessarily hiding behind, don't talk to me right now. But I guess I don't know how this stuff works. I think if we were over, if some more, I don't know how to say that without offending because I feel like there's got to be some good politicians out there. We know of a couple, but it's just a mess, folks. Moving on, let's look into talking a little bit about what happened with the Farm Bill at the committee yesterday. For those who didn't know, the Farm Bill is what allows hemp uh, cannabis to be sold in Wisconsin. And again, if you're one of those folks, especially when we first kind of started this movement, who said there is not, hemp doesn't work for me, that kind of thing. There are good quality hemp products out there. It was written in a way that kind of left the door open for essentially cannabis to be legal. You have to find a reputable source. We've got a couple of them in the comments here. And essentially the Farm Bill gets renewed every 5 years, and it's been pushed off a few times now. It finally got to a committee. Again, these politic things are very confusing to me. So the Farm Bill starts with the committee, goes to the House, then to the Senate, then to the president. So like there's a bunch of steps, a lot of things can happen, but essentially they proposed a farm bill. This committee did, the Farm Bill committee. It's the agriculture something committee. They proposed this, and they had an amendment session yesterday, so you can mark up the bill, they call it, and it kind of got snuck in. There was some rumblings of it the day before, but it didn't sound like it had the votes. Somehow this got snuck in though. Just pulling up because I forget this name. It was dropped in here. Who the lady's name was? I think it was Mary Miller. She is from Illinois, and she is on the committee, and she brought in cannabinoids that are synthesized or manufactured outside of the plant would no longer meet the definition of legal hemp. Many CBD products, because they measure the scope, covers all ingestible products with any level of THC, would basically be banned. It says at the same time, the legislation that is set to advance through the House Agriculture Committee on Thursday also contains provisions that would reduce regulatory barriers for certain hemp farmers and scale back a ban on industry participation by people with prior drug felony convictions. To me, that makes sense, especially if those convictions are cannabis related. But if we're talking hemp fiber, I think everybody should be involved in that. I'm sorry. What was she wants? Non-detectable THC. Non-detectable THC? What the hell is that now? But yeah, yesterday members adopted the cannabinoid ban amendment from Representative Mary Miller as part of an en bloc package with other unrelated changes in voice vote. And then the bill cleared the committee later in the day. Now, this doesn't mean this becomes law. And again, I'm just giving you my understanding of this. But now it goes to the assembly, and it sounds like there's bigger issues with the farm bill than just this little piece of it. There's it kind of makes sense. To me, hemp should be separate from the farm bill. That's just me. Maybe a lot of folks think it should be together, whatever. But regardless, the farm bill also includes SNAP benefits or food stamps. And I guess that's one of the big feuds going on between the aisle. It's something like $30 billion being cut. And one side likes that, the other doesn't. So if we're at a difference of $30 billion, does the farm bill pass? I don't know. Again, politics. We'll see what ends up happening. Oh, Waldo said no full spectrum products. I see. Okay. Yeah, that's crazy. Philip says, I have folks in Miller's district trying to get a meeting with her ASAP. Her office is refusing to sit down. Sad day. That is sad, man. Especially when we're talking about, again, elected officials. It's different if you're a private entity, you're making your own decisions, but we got folks that are elected to office making changes or decisions that they won't sit down and talk to their constituents about. Same with, the people right now that session is out, so we're not available until, like, that just doesn't make sense to me. That's frustrating. That's really the only word I have for it. The move comes following a push from prohibitionists and certain marijuana companies who argued in favor of restricting the cannabinoid products, describing it as a fix to a loophole that was created under the 2018 Farm Bill that federally legalized hemp. And again, I think they have a legit deal with, or I think it's a good idea there was one of the amendments was to essentially talk about, instead of just calling it hemp, hemp is essentially the cannabis in all forms other than marijuana, if you will, or the product you get in legal states. When they were talking about like industrial hemp and then alternative cannabinoid, like I think you should differentiate the two, but again, not just wipe one out or anything like that. Um, that's crazy, absolutely crazy. Philip Scott, sadly, she's besties with quotes Hitler at times. Roe was a winner. Oh gosh, she's one of those ladies. If they would legalize cannabis, we would have the 30 billion for Snap. Yeah, we probably would be able to do that. I think you're right, Joe. But again, going back to this Mary lady, here was her comments on her provisions. She said, "My amendment will close a loophole created in 2018 Farm Bill that allows intoxicating hemp products like Delta 8 to be sold. That was ahead of the vote. These products are being marketed to children, which they're not, and sending hundreds of them to the hospital, which they're not. We must stop teenagers and young children from being exposed to addictive and harmful drugs." Again, this is more of the extremism, anti-cannabis. I'm going to assume this would be her same take on cannabis in general, marijuana in her terms, that children are getting hold of it, this kind of thing. Like, it terrible, not untruthful take. That's the best way to put it. There was a couple of folks that spoke up against it. Here we've got hemp as a product requires and demands the correct guidelines, and if we do not provide these guidelines, we are threatening the safety of Americans. Democratic leader said her support for the amendment is related specifically to the benefit that it would have for Virginia farmers as they are trying to understand this ever-changing landscape. American farmers around the country have invested their time and resources over the last 6 years to develop a domestic supply chain of hemp and hemp products. Hemp provides a great opportunity for a family farm to diversify their farm income by using hemp as a rotational crop. Amen. And then finally, he says American farmers deserve the certainty afforded with the current definition of hemp. The proposed amendment arbitrarily changes the current congressionally written definition of hemp. Shout out to Derek Van Orden out of Wisconsin. He's also on the committee and a big voice and pro hemp fella. He said the issue is the Congress inadvertently created this problem in 2018 Farm Bill because they could not reasonably predict, or they didn't reasonably predict, that these types of cannabinoids would be synthesized, and they passed this bill through in the interventing time. There are now tens of thousands of Americans who have created different businesses, including several in my district now, that are using this process to feed their own kids. Exactly. You let this open for so long, people have built safe and successful businesses on this. Again, like some of the folks in the comments here. And now all of a sudden you're going to just take that out because you fucked up. Like, no, it's ass backwards. Philip says, my question is, hemp is supposed to be considered a commodity crop, just like corn or soy. That is why it's in the Farm Bill. Why do we have to have separate rules to grow it, sell it, process it? This is sad. That's fair. That is fair. Waldo says Iowa just passed a 4 milligram per serving and 10 milligram per package of hemp derived. Interesting. Philip Scott, why do I have to have an FBI background check to grow it? Right? That's a very valid question. I felt weird giving my fingerprints for that too. It was like, I feel like I did something wrong. And all I want to do is grow hemp. I don't know. It was a whole thing. Later, or this was after the vote went through. Gentleman said today's adoption of the amendment is a strong signal that Congress is serious about addressing the national crisis posed by unregulated intoxicating hemp products. I think for intoxicating hemp products, there should be some checks and balances or some sort of like there are a lot of businesses out there that say they make their own products. Like there's got to be some quality control. I think we can all agree on that. Just because there's a lot of unknown stuff out there. But again, for the folks that are doing it right, doing their research, growing it, making their own products, they shouldn't be fucked with. It'll be interesting to see. Again, the Farm Bill itself has been quite a cluster since there's such discrepancies and just like everything else, unfortunately, right now, it's political. Uh, I thought I would sit down and watch this, so I sat down. It was started yesterday at 10 a.m. and it was still 2:30, so 4.5 hours, and it was still just opening statements, and I could tell you what everyone was going to say when they said, "Okay, now he gets 5 minutes," and then it was a guy who, if it was a Republican, they would say, "This is a good farm bill. Thank you, committee chair, for everything you've done to get it here. To all the staffers who helped along the way, we're really proud of everything that got put into this farm bill." I had Chuck down there in my county that I talked to. He's on a third generation farm, and boy, is he struggling. We need to get this thing passed. And then every Democrat, when they would say their name, and I'm a Democratic, this is not bipartisan. This should be bipartisan, but it's not. Blah blah. It was just, I don't know how people sit through that. Like, if I was there, I'd lose my mind. My buddy was there, and I told him, he was listening. He was there listening to it, and he likes the policy stuff, which even that's a little, my attention span short. But like, God, the politics is just, oh my gosh, nobody said anything different. They all just said it in a different way, and that was 4.5 hours of the opening, and it was sickening. It was absolutely sickening that there was no, well, maybe we should try it. No, it was just, it was so, oh my gosh, it was frustrating. I was like, I need to take a break. So I'd let it play. I was helping my dad up at his place, at my parents' place. And then I'd go back 10 minutes later, like, okay, they got to be done talking. Nope, same shit, just a different person. Yeah, and this bill is terrible. There's no way it's going to pass. I can't believe they didn't listen to it. Just, oh, frustrating, man. Waldo says, I'm A-okay if they ban Delta 8 and synthesized garbage, regulate it, require an age minimum, but don't kill small businesses and how we support our families, right? Philip says, if we don't come together and write something as a state by September 21st, 2024, 98% of Wisconsin businesses will go out of businesses. Hopefully the politicians we have elected help the industry not collapse, always forward, right? That's our motto. They should. Jill says, put me in a nut word for watching it. Nut word for watching it. Pretty much. It was disheartening. It was frustrating. I don't know. We'll see what happens with the farm bill. It could be a cluster for some of the great stuff we have going on in Wisconsin. We got to do whatever we can. In my opinion, I will do everything I can to not let that happen. Again, the folks that are in this for the right reason, there's no reason they should be just wiped out. Just, nope, can't do that anymore. Like, nah. That's not fair. That's not right. That's not just. This is America, right? We care about our people, right? Listen, work with us. We had a couple other articles that came through. We just wanted to touch on those again, especially with the holiday weekend. Don't plan on keeping you guys here too late this evening. We got the California Senate approves a bill to remove marijuana employment protections from some law enforcement jobs. I wanted to see if they had a reasoning for that. They passed a bill that would roll back existing employment protections from people who legally use marijuana while away from work. Why would you roll that back? Removing them from sworn law enforcement positions that involve certain specified duties. So they passed the measure on third and final reading Wednesday on a 31-3 margin, sending the bill next to the Assembly. Was eventually introduced in February as a minor technical fix to the state's employment protection law, which took effect. But why did this come up? That's what I was hoping to have in here. Last month, the subsequent amendment, version of the bill. The legislation is narrowly drawn to provide a targeted exemption for just those sworn law enforcement applicants and employees who are undertaking difficult duties directly associated related to law enforcement. This is the same exemption that the building trades and construction trades currently have in statute. The work of both of these professions is important. It has important implications for the public safety. Peace officers are expected to overcome intense physical challenges and make split-second decisions in life or death situations. And these responsibilities are generally incompatible with the effects of cannabis use. What in the hell? That's what I thought this might be where they were going with that old stigma deal. SB 1264 will ensure departments retain the ability to test employees for cannabis use to ensure the highest professional standards are met. Folks, cannabis does not, again, the amount of athletes who use cannabis, you cannot tell me that cannabis slows you down. There's so many athletes who use cannabis, but right before the game, we're not even talking that. If an officer wants to use cannabis the night before he's on duty, that should be no different than drinking, if not safer than drinking. This is stupid. Philip says, I hope our hemp, grain, and fiber farmers stay strong with us. It will take all three aspects to get this right so we can all appropriate it. I think you're right there, man. I think you are right. So yeah, this is kind of frustrating to see over there in California. We'll have to see what happens. But looks like that got brought up and is on its way to their Senate. So we'll see what happens. This one was a little more interesting, and kind of the opposite side of that. Police groups back a bill to end federal marijuana prohibition in legal states and then allow interstate commerce. Anytime we see anything where there's a police group backing anything cannabis, I am checking that out. I'm going to share it with you guys. So let's see what that one's about. I don't know. My nose is on fire. I apologize if you're watching and it's driving you nuts. It's driving me nuts. Sure. What's going on with that either? Two major law enforcement organizations have endorsed a bipartisan bill to end federal marijuana enforcement in legal states. A cannabis group whose membership includes large tobacco and alcohol companies announced. Hey, there we go. So it looks like the group is the Peace Officers Research Association of California and the Oregon Coalition of Police and Sheriffs are both officially backing the strengthening the 10th Amendment through entrusting states 2.0 Act. The Coalition for Cannabis Policy, Education, and Regulation announced the endorsements on Friday. So most importantly, it does nothing to enhance public safety and in many cases works against it. As far as how the current law enforcement resources are being used. The state's 2.0 Act would address this confusing discrepancy and empower law enforcement in their efforts to enforce cannabis law and address the unique needs of the communities they represent. It would further authorize interstate marijuana commerce and calls for a currently unspecified federal tax on cannabis sales to support regulations and enforcement. That's interesting. I wonder what a federal tax on that would look like. Maybe we need to get some details on that before we fully support this. But I guess the fact that we're even talking about interstate commerce and police, I mean, let's figure it out. Let's figure it out, folks. PORAC is pleased to support state's 2.0 Act, which strikes a crucial balance between state autonomy and federal oversight and provides a framework that promotes effective law enforcement practices. This bill marks an important step forward to enhance cannabis regulation by empowering states to tailor their cannabis laws to best serve their individual communities. Legalizing cannabis at the state level doesn't mean the illegal cannabis markets in those states go away. This is true. Philip says Philip Morris Tobacco Group has major investment in hemp cannabis cigs. They want to sell these nationwide. Funny, all their lobby money comes together. That would make sense. It also looks like with this act, it would make it so revenue from marijuana sales in regulated state markets shall not be subject to Section 280E of the IRS code, which currently prevents the industry from claiming federal tax deductions available to other traditional markets. All right. Been a lot of talk lately about the banking and that, so hopefully something's coming down the pipeline for those folks, and it sounds like the rescheduling would potentially help with that. Again, we just got to see what the play there is with Big Pharma. Or, well, even the government. It feels like, again, every time it's, oh, hey, we're going to do this for you. And then a couple months later, it's like, oh, yeah, we did this for you, but it was so we could do profit from this, or so then we could implement that, or then it, like, I need to go enjoy me a pre-roll or something, I think. Is it past time that Congress passed legislation that will protect our youth, protect our roads, battle against addiction and psychosis, and keep cannabis out of the communities that don't want it? They put out a poll. More than 60% of Republicans support the congressional legislation to protect states' rights to set their own marijuana laws. Even that's good to hear. From the Republican side, again, when we're looking at both sides, typically it's the Republican side that seems to have the biggest current issue, that underlying issue that we can't just pinpoint for certain. But even 60% of them support the bill, or the states legalizing cannabis. It's something, folks. I don't know. I think we need to enjoy our weekend and not worry about this for a couple of days, even though, unfortunately, with the seriousness of the if the farm bill were to pass like it is, the serious impacts that could have. I definitely think it's something that we try to focus on and try to, again, help the folks that are in it for the right reasons, help them be taken care of. So we'll have to see where those things shake out. Let's take a day or two to enjoy some family time. Tack that again on Tuesday. Probably push Monday's podcast to Tuesday. We'll probably do a back-to-back one next week, Tuesday and Wednesday. But I hope you guys get a chance to, again, enjoy some cannabis, enjoy some family time this week, and be safe. Obviously, that's always the first thing. If you don't have a ride, don't be out there getting high and driving. That kind of thing. Safety first. Huge. Oh, shit. That's right. There's a huge, I'm sure you guys know, it's Memorial Day weekend. Expect cops everywhere. Please be safe. If you're traveling with cannabis, keep it locked up. I got to get that link and share it with you guys. I got like a little, it looks like a lunchbox, but it's got a comm on it. And then I keep it in the trunk. Just be safe out there. Travel safely. Check your lights, all that stuff. Philip says, like how they sneak things in right before the big weekend, so they sweep them under the rug. Thanks for all you do, Beans. Hey, you bet, man. You guys have done a lot, and I'm just a voice out here, but I got your back. So Waldo says it's click it or ticket campaign this week. Oh, yeah, that too. So make sure you're strapped in, strapped up and strapped in. Hope everybody has a great weekend. We'll catch you guys most likely on Tuesday next week. I'll let you know for sure here in a day or two. Again, please check out that post on the page if you got ideas for some chants or some signs. Really looking forward to the March to the Capitol, and I want to see how many people we can get out there, and I want to be loud. So everyone have a great weekend. We'll catch you next week. We're going to figure this shit out because we ain't going to stop. We ain't going to give up. We're going to figure it out. So have a good one.